Hey, I'm James from Smoking Ed Barbecue, and with New Year's just around the corner, I thought I would share my award-winning Chinese sticky wing recipe, which won the first place in the highly coveted neighborhood wing off. No, I'm kidding. This is no Memphis in May where the accolades carry nationwide, but I think there's just something kind of satisfying about having all the neighborhood wives and children betray their own dad and vote your wings first place. So without further ado, let me tell you how to make some award-winning wings. So there's one fairly significant update I need to make since turning in those award-winning wings, which is sitting right in front of me. That's the use of the SloRoller. So when I did those wings back in summer when we were dressed for our pool weather, like you see here on my SloRoller, the SloRoller was rated for a maximum temperature of 500 degrees Fahrenheit. I had a couple of people send me notes or asking questions. James, my SloRoller doesn't say 500 degrees Fahrenheit, it says 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And lo and behold, I went and checked on the specs for the SloRoller, and sure enough, the maximum temperature has dropped from, like what mine says, 500 degrees Fahrenheit to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is right in the danger zone of where I like to run hot and fast, low and slow cooks at 270 to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't have any insight to what's going on behind that change, but this kind of messes up my plan. I like using the SloRoller at hotter and faster temperatures, whether I was using just the base as a SloRoller and getting a free vortex right from Kamado Joe, or doing crispy chicken skin. The SloRoller is magic up in that 450 degree temperature range, which is what I use on those wings in order to move enough air. I tend to steer away from it at really low in temperatures because it just doesn't move enough air. To illustrate, I have a little example. I'm going to see if it'll work, show you what I'm talking about in terms of air velocity. Let me go grab it. So this is a pellet tube smoker, which will simulate some smoke for us. Set this down in here. Move back a little bit. That's kind of putrid. But what you can see here is gentle smoke coming out of the SloRoller, where it's just sort of curling out and making its way up into what would be our dome. One of the reasons I love the SloRoller, what I found using the SloRoller at low and slow temperatures, like say 225 degrees, this is kind of what I've observed going on with our food, where the smoke is coming out but is not pressurized enough where we're burning a hot enough fire to really get the benefit of the SloRoller itself. But what really changes this for me is when I use it in partnership with double Indirect, which uses more fuel, I'm burning a cleaner and a hotter fire. This is where the SloRoller starts to shine, that and higher temperatures. So let me add a little bit more air as if we were burning a hotter fire and maybe blow some of this smoke out, show you what I'm talking about. Okay, let me simulate a little bit more airflow coming in the bottom if I just drag this way a little bit. And we'll try and add a little bit of air. So I hope that worked. From my angle, at least I could see the SloRoller doing what I've encountered with food and moving smoke much more aggressively once we actually build up enough pressure that the smoke has nowhere to go but following the shape of the SloRoller. Let me get rid of the smoke before it knocks me out. I'll get you right back to today's video, but first I want to thank my friends from Meter for making today's video possible. So I've been a customer and a fan of Meter since I bought my block back in 2020, and nearly 4 years on, I still absolutely love it for its multi-probe configuration as well as its native Wi-Fi capabilities right out of the box, which means if I'm at the gym or cutting lawn, well, not today, it's getting dead of winter, not doing any of those things right now, but it makes it a breeze to keep track of my cook wherever I happen to be if I'm not in close proximity to my grill. So when there was the opportunity to test the Meter 2 Plus with extended Bluetooth 5.2 range along with a host of other upgrades like 6 sensors. So this probe now has 5 internal sensors along with the ambient sensor, giving us 6 data points. In the past, you have to try and guess where to place your probe so you're getting an accurate information. And as I've learned is that these large cooks tend to cook from the outside, working their way in. So we could have gradient levels of doneness from well done to medium well to medium rare. By having 5 internal sensors, this made getting the perfect internal doneness on my tenderloin as well as my New York strip steak make this year an absolute breeze. And because the Meter 2 Plus is just 5 millimeters thin, the hole was next to invisible. The Meter 2 Plus is completely waterproof. So not only can you throw this in the dishwasher like before, you can now use it in a submersible application like deep frying or sous vide cooking. Or if you're like me and a huge fan of live fire cooking, we've got massive upgrades on both the internal and the ambient sensors, allowing us to leave our probe in for that direct open fire sear. If you haven't seen my full unboxing video, I'll be sure to put a link down below. There's many more features I don't have time to cover in today's quick clip. Or if Santa missed you and you already know what you want and you got a little bit of money in your stocking, there's a link to go ahead and pick yourself up a Meter 2 Plus for the new year. While you're there, there's also a sale running for the rest of the year on the original Meter block. I believe it's a save 25% deal that expires at the end of December. So time is running out, but that's the end of my deal alert. I'm going to get you back to today's video. And again, after the video is done, be sure to check out the links down in the description below. So as you can tell, I need a new game plan for today, since I can't, in good conscience or any conscience for that matter, recommend now a temperature that exceeds the maximum recommendation from Kamado Joe. And so having done this recipe a couple of times, it also rules out my other favorite way of doing wings, which is the rotisserie basket. Since, as you guessed, these are Chinese sticky wings, they make an absolute mess of a grill surface, or even worse, the basket that would bake on those sugars, which would be prone to burning and really, really difficult to clean. So rotisserie is out, as well as the SloRoller. So my plan B, while I work on coming up with a new method, I have a video for Super Bowl coming out next year with some of our family's favorite wing recipes beyond buffalo. Go Bills! But that will be coming out in the new year. So I'm going to work on my game plan in terms of how to get crispy skin and recreate what I was doing with the SloRoller without using the SloRoller and without using the rotisserie basket. So my plan B for today, since I've been testing the reverse flow Echo from Smoke North, that's what I'm going to do, since I know I can get nice crispy skin and I am moving a ton of air. Using an aeronometer earlier this year, I measured the airflow coming out of my Kamado Joe using a SloRoller versus what I got out of the offset. And there was about a 20 times increase in airflow. I was able to improve that airflow nearly 4x, or actually over 4x, using something like the Dojo. So perhaps the Dojo will come into play in terms of our answer, but I'm actually leaning more towards just going double indirect and get those wings high in the dome. This is what I used to do before the SloRoller was a product. So we will do a few more tests and get back to you with a new plan B. But since I'm going to use the Echo, let's build a quick heat soak fire so we can get to work on our wings. That heat soak fire will take about 40 minutes or so, and make sure that our pit is fully up to temperature, and then we can transition to cooking wood. In terms of getting the wings ready, we don't have to do anything other than remove them from the package, but optional and highly recommended. Something that everybody who was commenting in the judging of the wings noted the tenderness of our wings. We all bought our wings from Costco the exact same day, but the buttermilk brine made a huge difference. Now, you don't want to overdo this. It's kind of like if you use the pineapple pulp, pineapple juice on a steak to tenderize it. It very quickly makes it more tender, and if you leave it too long, it can over tenderize it and actually damage the structure. Same is true with buttermilk. It just doesn't happen near as fast. So if you have a Ziploc bag or something like what I have, a briner bucket, which has a little cap which will just hold our wings completely submerged, you don't need that. You can do this just as well in a Ziploc bag, is add a full-size carton of buttermilk, no extra salt. I did try what I did with my turkey this year and add a couple tablespoons of salt. This recipe that we are sharing from Recipe Tin has more than enough salt in the marinade, and this just will make it far too salty for even someone like me who can stand a little bit more salt on the palate. So we're gonna let that marinate anywhere from 4 to a maximum of 8 hours. And then once we're done that, we'll get them out, pat them dry, bring them out here, and we'll get ready to work on our marinade, which only takes 10 minutes, and we'll be ready to get them on the grill by the time our heat soak fire dies down. Let's get to work. Okay, our wings have been in the buttermilk for exactly 4 hours. So now we're gonna start to mix together our marinade, and this is quick. This is only going to be 10 minutes. So I have doubled the recipe that's recommended online for about 4 to 5 pounds of wings. This is a little bit smaller, just on the 4-pound side. We're gonna start in our bowl with our sesame seed oil, lemon juice. Cannot believe the difference that this makes. Recipe Tin calls that out in her recipe, but proper Chinese cooking wine, it really makes a big difference. Soy sauce, brown sugar, hoisin sauce, oyster sauce, ketchup, chilies, garlic, ginger, and since we're doubling, I have a full teaspoon here of 5-spice powder. Whisk that up. So I like salt, but trust me when I say this is going to be plenty of salty after 10 minutes. So I'll start a timer as soon as we get our wings on and let them marinate for 10 minutes. We'll transfer them back to this pan and get them on our grill. See you in 10 minutes. Okay, that 10-minute timer went quick. I was just inside getting our foil pan ready with parchment. Trust me, you do not want to do this directly on your grill grates. They will be much harder to clean. The parchment paper is going to be non-stick, so it'll be easy to get the wings off. It'll also just help collect some of this marinade, which we're also going to baste any of the leftovers on. So wherever the tip came from parchment paper, that is a really good idea with this recipe. Take you fast forward while we transfer our wings onto the parchment. Perfect. Let's go get these on, and we're going to save what we have left to baste on after about 10-15 minutes. Okay, we're running right at 350, which is exactly what I want. And I'm gonna start on the upper rack since this is the Echo reverse flow. So we've got the air coming up and around and back across the wings. I'm gonna go front, center on the top grate. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes. Time to brush on some of our remaining marinade. I'm also going to flip our pan from left to right. You can see we're getting just a little bit of color where the heat is coming up right out of our reverse flow and coming across. So I'm going to rotate this after we add on a little bit of extra marinade. So these look amazing. Let's spin them around. Same idea, another 15 minutes. All right, we're about 45 minutes in and I think we should be, oh, it's pitch dark out now, but I don't know if you can see these. These look absolutely amazing. I'll get them over to better light in just a second. Confirm what I think I already know is that these are already done. Perfect, 184, that's great for chicken wings. 185, that's in my recommended temperature guide, which is free if you sign up for the newsletter on my Smoking Dad Barbecue website. It has a couple tips for temperatures and cooking techniques, but I'll meet you over there. We'll dress these up and dive in for our taste test. So for dressing them up, we're gonna keep it really simple. I've just got some sesame seeds I'll sprinkle all over, some finely diced chives, some Thai dragon chili peppers for a little color. All right, it's always a race to get these in against the clock in these cold sub-zero temperatures, but I've got a couple for myself and the rest inside for the family. Let's dive in for our taste test. Start flat. Drum, what do you start with? I always like the flats. Cheers. The buttermilk here and tenderness cannot be overstated. The difference that makes. So good. Cheers again. Wow, I mean, just wow. These sticky Chinese wings are incredible. So whether it's for New Year's Eve, Super Bowl, or maybe your next backyard wing off, this recipe is fantastic. There's just so much to love about how these wings are, from tender to the sticky spices, the caramelization, from all that convection airflow going over them. They are a thing of beauty. I just wish there's a way you could actually experience what I'm experiencing right now, including the heat from getting a few too many of those Thai dragon peppers fogging up. You're disappearing. So on that note, I better wrap up real quick and let you know I'm James from Smoking Dad Barbecue signing off. Remember, don't be afraid to fire it up.